Pelé, the legendary Brazilian soccer player who rose from barefoot poverty to become one of the greatest athletes in modern history, died on Thursday at the age of 82. Sao Paulo's Albert Einstein Hospital, where Pelé was undergoing treatment, said his death was, quote, due to multiple organ failures resulting from the progression of colon cancer associated with his previous medical condition. His official Instagram account confirmed the news, adding that he, quote, enchanted the world with his genius in sport, stopped the war, carried out social works all over the world, and spread what he most believed to be the cure for all our problems, love. Pelé was the only man to win the World Cup 3 times as a player, and in a glorious 21-year career, he scored a grand total of 1,283 goals. Tributes poured in from across the worlds of sport, politics, and pop culture. French President Emmanuel Macron wrote on Twitter, quote, "The game, the king, eternity." Kylian Mbappe, the French star many view as the current best soccer player in the world, offered his condolences, posting on Twitter, "The king of football has left us, but his legacy will never be forgotten. R.I.P. King."
I'm saddened, but also proud of being Brazilian, the country of Pelé, who was a great athlete, and also off the field, he was a great person. He wasn't an arrogant athlete. He was a person that makes one feel proud of being Brazilian.
Pelé, though, transcended soccer like no player before or since, and he became one of the first global icons of the 20th century. With his winning smile and an aw-shucks humility that charmed legions of fans, he was better known than many Hollywood stars, popes, or presidents, many if not most of whom he met during a 6-decade-long career as player and corporate pitchman.
Russia fired scores of missiles into Ukraine early on Thursday, targeting Kyiv, the northeastern city of Kharkiv, and other cities in a massive aerial bombardment that knocked out power, Ukrainian authorities said. In Kyiv, a team of emergency workers searched through the smouldering wreckage of a residential house destroyed by a blast. Ukraine's military said it shot down 54 missiles out of 69 launched by Russia in an attack that began at 7 a.m. local time. Air raid sirens rang out across the country and in Kyiv sounded for 5 hours, one of the longest alarms of the war. Some residents rushed to take shelter in this metro station. Russia has mounted numerous waves of airstrikes in recent months on Ukrainian critical infrastructure, leaving millions without power and heat in freezing temperatures. The latest blitz came hard on the heels of the Kremlin's rejection of a Ukrainian peace plan, insisting that Kyiv must accept Russia's annexation of 4 Ukrainian regions. These homes were destroyed near Zaporizhzhia.
I went to sleep in my room but wanted to watch the television, so I fell asleep. I woke up to everything shaking, crumbling. I got up and screamed to my husband, "Where are you?" I ran barefoot on glass. He appeared and glass was falling on him.
Moscow has repeatedly denied targeting civilians, but Ukraine says its daily bombardment is destroying cities, towns, and the country's power, medical, and other infrastructure. Russia invaded Ukraine on February 24th in what President Vladimir Putin calls a special military operation to demilitarize its neighbor. Kyiv and its Western allies have denounced Russia's actions as an imperialist-style land grab.
Here in El Paso, Texas, migrants from Central and South America gather in shelters or on the streets, many of them planning their next steps in a new country. Despite a U.S. Supreme Court decision this week leaving in place a protocol allowing migrants to be rapidly deported, many are undeterred. Among them, Luis, a migrant from Venezuela, who said many from his country gave up everything for the chance at a new life.
Many people sold their houses to take on this journey. How will you go back if you don't have a place to return to in your country? So I decided to go on.
The Supreme Court on Tuesday left in place the policy known as Title 42, under which the U.S. typically can expel migrants from Guatemala, El Salvador, Honduras, and Venezuela to Mexico. Democratic President Joe Biden had sought to end the measure, enacted under Republican President Donald Trump, to justify deporting asylum seekers in an effort to curb the COVID-19 pandemic. But a group of Republican state attorneys general sued, arguing that lifting the policy would increase border crossings and strain state resources. Migrants' rights groups said throwing up roadblocks for asylum seekers only makes their travel more dangerous. Fernando Garcia is the executive director of Border Network for Human Rights.
We're talking about people who come here as refugees to ask for asylum and who keep on crossing the border in dangerous ways. They cross highways with vehicles speeding past in which migrants have died before. This adds to a humanitarian crisis.
On Tuesday, in a 5-4 ruling, the Supreme Court ordered Title 42 remain in place for now. The court said it would hear arguments on whether the states could intervene to defend Title 42 in its February session and will likely issue a decision on the policy in June.
Russian rockets rained down on Kyiv on Thursday, the blasts shattering windows at this psychiatric hospital. No patients or staff were harmed, but for Dr. Nelia Kyrnes, the attack was traumatic. She lost her home to an airstrike last February.
Time does not heal. All this flashed in my soul, in my thoughts. All this was recalled. I would not wish this on anyone. It is very hard to experience, to endure.
She carries mental and physical scars from the attack in the early days of the war.
And the house was damaged, and I was wounded by shards. Unfortunately, the flat burned down. The house burned down, everything in the flat. I miraculously, thank God, survived.
Thursday's bombardment was fierce, even by the standards of this conflict that has seen Russian forces pummel Ukrainian cities. Hannati Zyberblad is head of Kyiv region's Psycho-Narcological Medical Association.
And I saw 2 smoke trails over there. First one trail and then the other. I'm assuming one missile flew and then the second. Or 2 missiles or 2 anti-missiles. You see the shrapnel cut the branch.
Around 150 personnel and 468 patients were there at the time and remained indoors. Zyberblad said, thankfully, the psychiatric patients didn't panic. But for Kyrnes, the attack was almost too much to bear.
It is very hard to cope hearing that kind of noise, of shattering glass.
Russia denies deliberately targeting civilians. Ukraine's military said it had shot down 54 missiles out of 69 launched by Russia in the latest volley. Air raid sirens rang out across Ukraine for 5 hours in Kyiv.
Wall Street's main indexes ended higher on Thursday in a light trading session that was powered by growth stocks. The Dow closed up more than 1%, the S&P gained almost 1.8%, and the Nasdaq jumped nearly 2.6%. In a bad news is good news day for investors, U.S. unemployment data ticked up last week, signaling the Federal Reserve's interest rate hikes might be starting to dent labor market strength in its bid to fight inflation. Rod von Lipsey is managing director at UBS Private Wealth Management.
Well, today we're seeing a little bit of a relaxation of worries about that heating economy, about employment that's just too strong, and worries that the Fed is going to have to continue to raise rates at a very, very high and really punishing pace for the U.S. economy. So today we're seeing a little bit of relief coming out of those jobs numbers this morning.
All 11 S&P 500 sector indexes rose, with communication service and technology the biggest winners with gains of nearly 3%. Apple, Alphabet, Microsoft, and Amazon, whose shares have been battered in the past few sessions, each gained more than 2.5%. And Tesla shares, which have fallen nearly 70% this year, extended yesterday's gains after Chief Executive Elon Musk told his staff they should not be, quote, bothered by stock market craziness.